Okay. Hey, Cyprian, how are you doing? Good. Let me see something here. Ta-da. Okay, Cyprian. What we'll do it via the phone when I give you the cue. Okay. Sent you the already. Sent you the link. And we'll let you know when to call. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and good afternoon, and welcome to the late one with yours truly, SYLBOURNE SHOW. And I wish you and I hope you having a wonderful day so far. For those in the UK, those in Jamaica, those in the States, those on YouTube, and those also on Facebook. So I just want to welcome you to a very lovely day. You know, my topic today, as you can see, is very straightforward and very simple, and it is about this new UK point system, right? The late one, the new UK point system. I don't know if you have been following the news and if you have heard about it, but in the meantime, I think this is something which should be very interesting for Jamaica and people overseas. So if you can as well, I'd love for you to actually share this video. Just press share, and I'm actually doing the process of also sharing this video as well with key persons, and I'll appreciate if that is done. Okay, cool. So we'll get going shortly. Oh, and by the way, I think the news has actually said that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be able to use the word, use that anymore. So the Queen is actually saying, no, you can't guys use that. What can I say? Okay, Cyprian, I can see that you're on. Awesome. Yeah. Let's share this in the meantime. Here to a group. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following the news and you know, abreast of what is happening in the UK, you know, since the whole Brexit saga and since the new election, the recent election, and the new Prime Minister Boris Johnson have this massive mandate, and based on this massive mandate, he's on a journey, he's on a quest, right? And upon this quest, what he wants to make sure is that he deliver on the mandate of this recent election. Many persons might say, what is he delivering? But he said what he's going to do. He's going to deliver on the mandate. And in recent days, and over the years as well, there has been this talk about this controlling the borders, you know, ensuring the borders is controlled. And I'm looking at this topic here and this bit about immigration. No visas for low-skilled workers, government says. No visas for low-skilled workers, government says. I also look at the topic on the Home Office website, and it talks about Home Secretary announces new UK points-based immigration system. New points-based immigration system will open up the UK to the brightest and the best from around the world. The brightest and the best from around the world. Okay? Canada, Australia have something of a similar nature. I believe as well that the Prime Minister is of the view that, hey, we're at this junction We're at this juncture, therefore, we need to, and the word which has been used a lot is unleashing the potential of the UK, right? But there have been different views to it, the different thinking towards it. Why by saying it's a backward step whereby low-skilled workers, another side, would not get visas on the post-Brexit immigration plans unveiled by the government, right? And it is saying this is urging employers to move away from relying on cheap labor from Europe and invest in retaining staff and developing automation technology. The Home Office is said that the UK, the EU, and non-EU citizens coming to the UK would be treated equally after UK-EU free movement ends on 31st of December. You hear what it says? The Home Office said EU and non-EU citizens coming to the UK would be treated equally after the UK-EU free movement ends on 31st of December. One of the things that many people have been talking about, and it is also what they say is one of the advantage of Brexit as well, is that European Union members will not have a particular advantage over other parts of the world. And I use this classic example for argument's sake, Jamaica. Jamaica is deemed once you could come to the UK with just, I mean, when I came to the UK in 1992, all I had was just a letter that just say, you know, your family, friends, or whatever invite you in, and you come to the UK. But now that changed after a while. It changed whereby now you have, you need a visa, right? Now you need a visa to come to the UK. Persons in Europe didn't need any of that. They can just go back and forth, freedom of movement. And people were saying that that was somewhat of an advantage, an unfair advantage, whereby they had a leg up. The word is a leg up, if anything. So it is something they say needed to somewhat be corrected. Being corrected means to say that everybody needs to be on the same level play field. Therefore, someone coming from Jamaica or from the Caribbean or from other parts of the world will be on the same level as the European Union residents, right? Where Britain was a former member of. Now, is that fair or is it a backward step? Okay, let me see what person is saying. Good night, SYLBOURNE. I don't know if the Queen is absolutely certain yet. I keep hearing the word may not in somewhere. Oh, you're talking about the bit I mentioned about this the Queen is actually saying that the Duke and Duchess. I just use that as a preliminary as well. The Home Office is actually saying, and based on the Home Office website, it is saying Home Secretary Priti Patel will today, Wednesday the 19th of February, launch a new points-based immigration system which will open up the UK to the brightest and the best around the world. The brightest and the best around the world. Now that is me and that is you, right? Everybody's brightest and everybody's best. The question again is who determines what is bright and who is best? Of course, there's going to be some criteria. Now, Sipper and Pitkin, if you're around, do call in and let us have a conversation on this if you can hear me. The new system, which takes effect from 1st of January 2021, will end free movement, reassert control of our borders, and restore public trust. It will assign points for specific skills, qualifications, salaries, or professions, and visas will only be awarded to those who gain enough points. Yeah, those who gain enough points. Now we're going on this point system. Okay, now it would be good to hear what persons think about this. Is this a backward step or is it a new developing step? Is it that the Prime Minister wants to ensure that he's got this mandate and he wants to make sure that he delivers for the period of time? Yeah, I've also thought about that. There are some possible advantages. And Cyprian, you're calling the wrong number. Wrong number you're calling, Cyprian. Pitkin. Let me see if I can get you on here. You're calling the wrong number. Try to see if you can call the right number, boss. Yeah. The interesting bit as well as I look at this, the government has listened, right, to the clear messages from the 2016 referendum and the 2016 general election and will end reliance on cheap, low-skilled labor coming into the country, right? Sorry, I'm trying to get a guess on, but he's actually calling me on the wrong number here. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, Cyprian, how are you doing?
Not bad, thank you.
Yeah, I think you're calling me on the wrong number. I don't know if you recognize that.
Okay. I think. Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Now, I just want to check if anyone can actually hear. Cyprian, how are you doing today? Good?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic.
Well,
Good. All right. Listen, this new policy by the government, which came in, well, which was unveiled. Let's say unveiled today. This new point system. What's your take on it?
I've been following this for some time now. When the government, before, when the former Home Secretary, when he said that, or I think it was from Theresa May time, she actually said that they would be introducing, the government wants to introduce the same point system that they have, or that they use in Australia.
Yeah.
And I've started to look at it and see the benefit and, how it would affect, people coming from Jamaica and what have you. When I dived into it some more and delved into it some more and look at it, I realized that this would mainly affect the Europeans after the 31st of December, when the free movement will cease between the EU nations and the EU partners and the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
What's happening is that it's not going to be a level playing field for everybody.
Sorry, sorry, did you say it would be a level playing field?
Yeah, it is going to be a level playing field for everybody, because at the moment, because of the free movement within the EU, you have, the lowest to the highest skilled workers coming back and forth work in the UK. If a Jamaican or somebody from Barbados or a Trinidadian or Tobago, anyone from the Caribbean or even an African country, they have to have certain qualifications. They have to have certain criteria, which is higher for them to get a working visa to come to this country. And I've always thought that's not fair. So the fact that it's now they're now doing it on a level playing field where Europeans will have to have that same level of what they call it, the higher and brighter people coming into the country. So it's highly skilled. I think my take on that, I support it.
Yeah.
I do support the move.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't affect. It's nothing that would affect. I try to see how these new and these implemented you call it immigration or border control would affect even my family coming here to look for me, or even friends, our fellow Jamaicans coming to the country. And I realized that it won't have any. It doesn't affect anybody from that side of the world. So this mainly came in for the United, because the European partners who are part of the EU.
Mm. But But some people will actually say that this is discriminating against low skilled workers. I mean to say you have got to be up there at a certain level. So therefore, I understand it plays that level playing field, but then it might be deemed as somewhat discriminatory to persons of a lower level. How do you determine, and how do you determine what is skill set? Is there
Well,
a point
well,
system? Yeah.
well, the thing is, okay, two things. The first thing, if what do you say it's discriminate against lower skilled people, what about all these years, 20, 30, 40 years ago, when,
Mm.
when the, when this, when you come here and you want to work, these are the criteria for people from Africa, people from Jamaica, people from the Caribbean. There are certain criteria. When they stop, there was a time when you could just come when you land, then the stamp your passport, you go through. They changed that probably about, I would say, about 20 years now, if I'm correct. Somebody correct me. Between the last 20 and 25 years, they have changed that, where you had to have a visa to come from the Caribbean to come here. Now, the thing is, if you're coming here from the Caribbean to look to work, you had to be you had to have high, we call it, of a high skill set before you get settled, before you come here to work. You had to secure a job, and you had to have that job had to be paying you a certain there was a threshold, the minimum wage that they're expecting you to be paid before you get it. So to answer that, the first point is that no, I don't think it's discrimination, because then you could say, well, they were discriminated against the rest of the world. Number two, there has to be some cutoff point. Why did we leave the EU? What was the drive behind leaving the EU? The drive behind leaving the EU was, look, we need to control our borders. We need
Control.
So yeah, control. We need, the influx of Europeans coming. We need a control of that. We need that. So coming in with this new system, I think it's a good measure. I think it's an effective measure, right, to control the border. We came out. We have now left the EU on the 31st after the deal has been set. That's the final, you call it, stamp on the seal. We are finally fully divorced. I call that section of it the NICE. We call the absolute NICE, or the NICE absolute, where we are finally divorced from the EU. Now, if we are finally divorced from the EU, there are things that we need to put into place that was where we are no longer doing as we were part of the EU. And if that is if that's the measure to put in to stop the influx of migrants coming in, well, that's something has to happen. Something has to give. That's how they chose to do it. And yeah, I fully support it, to be honest with you. And a lot of people that wouldn't like to hear it, but yeah. I fully support it. It's something that has been in place for many years, but as I said, it was not a leveled playing field for everybody. Okay, this was set in place, and where it prevented a lot of people from other countries getting into the country because they could not meet this criteria. And I think that is only fair that everybody now sits on a level playing field.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, what is said is we're ending free movement, 1, taking back control for our borders, 2, and delivering on the people's priorities by introducing this point-based immigration system, which will bring overall migration numbers down. Okay? Overall migration numbers down. We will attract the brightest and the best from around the globe, boosting the economy and our communities, and unleash this country's full potential. The points threshold will be carefully set to attract the talent the UK needs. Skilled workers will need to meet a number of relevant criteria, including specific skills, the ability to speak English, to be able to work in the UK. All applicants will be required to have a job offer and in line with the Migration Advisory Committee MAC recommendation, minimum salary threshold will be set at 25,600. Cyprian, what's your take on that bit regarding the 25,600? Is that a good amount? I mean, that is if Mary
I,
Jane, Mary
I,
Jane,
I, I
Jane,
think,
yeah, go on. Sorry.
I think that threshold is I think that threshold is adequate. It's sufficient. I think it's a low threshold. As a professional in the industry, I think I think they have. It will be fair. It still gives room for people to be able to actually apply. Once you are the skill to apply to come to the country, because a lot of companies, when you start out with graduates and what have you, it's around the 26 upward mark for a graduate to get in. So I think the 25,600 it's a good minimum threshold that they have set.
Okay, and we're talking about the different criteria. So specific skills. So therefore, what the government is actually talking about is persons who are university educated. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. They spoke about I think in one aspect they talk about academia.
Yeah.
And when you look at academia, okay, so you could have a bachelor's degree, but when you start to step into academia, you're talking about master's degree, PhD, and those sorts of stuff. So the thing is, I think the threshold. I think that everything that has been said. I think that it's just put it in place. It's in place to control the borders. I think it's a good measure. The measures, the everything that they have put in place. I think it's a good measure that they have put in place to make sure they have a control. To make sure it's not hard and it's not that easy. If you get what I'm saying, I think this is a really good level ground for people who are highly skilled to get into the country. I mean, what a lot of people tend to, when they start doing masters or what have you, if they want to leave from where they are to come here, I think they need to look at what the different certificates, qualifications that's required, and try do their masters around that field.
Okay. Yeah. Going further, it says in the government manifesto, right, the new point-based will also expand the skills threshold for skilled workers. So what they're doing, they're widening the scope of that. Those looking, and this is what people need to understand. It is those who are looking to live and work in the UK. That's what this is about. Looking to live and work in the UK. So therefore, this is not talking about people who are planning to visit and look for their relatives. Right, Cyprian?
Definitely not. No, not talking about people. Not talking about visitors visa now.
Right.
Talking about people wanting to come here to work, to settle, to start a family. You know. Yeah.
Okay. It is so. Go back. Looking to live and work in the UK will now need to be qualified up to A level or equivalent. Now, what they say, rather than degree level under the current system. So, Cyprian, the current system is what it is about. You need a degree level. And I remember the 25,000 was a bit higher. So it was, I think it was 35,000 before, but it has dropped. So what they're saying, this will provide greater flexibility and ensure UK business has access to a wide pool of skilled workers. In line with the government management, there will be no specific route for skilled workers. It is estimated 70% of the existing EU workforce will not meet the requirements of the skilled workers, which will help to bring overall numbers down in the future. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, and Cyprian, we can agree here that one of the outcome and one of the objective is to bring down the numbers of people in the UK. That's what it is really saying.
Definitely.
Right? What it's actually really saying is that the UK, Okay, it is like there's a cleaning up process. It is like they're trying to clean up things, get themselves on a strong footing.
Yeah.
Is there any racist undertone in this? Who is going to be affected? It's not Jamaican. It's not the Caribbean going to be affected. Actually, they're going to benefit more from this, isn't it, Cyprian?
I think so. I don't think there's a racist on this at all. As I said, the government been saying, and the people been crying, look, we need to get out of the EU. What was the main push behind the referendum? What was the main push? The main thing, the main push, the main drive. What was the force behind the campaigning was controlling our border, the influx of the Europeans coming into the country, using up the NHS. It's costing the government X amount of money, sitting on the benefit system because they do work. If they don't get, if they're not earning enough money, they can apply for different benefit. And this is what they were talking about, So the main drive. So everything has to be done. Everything has to be done in order, right? That when we leave, we have properly left.
Yeah.
When we leave, we don't have our borders open up to the world, to Europe. Does anybody just come and go as they leave? And yeah, I think this is a fair. As I said, I think it's a good playing field and a good level. We call it playing field for everybody.
Well, some of the dissenting voices actually saying that a challenge for companies needing low-skilled workers because what it is deemed is that the UK work base, British people, will not do some particular work. And the broad promise of Brexit are giving way to detailed consequences, as they say, whereby there are plenty of jobs the brightest and the best don't want to do, right? The brightest don't want to do some particular jobs, right? 8 million 16 to 64 are economically inactive, right? Then also there's trouble. They talk about trouble for the social care. Most people employed by the adult social care sector are low paid workers, providing daily help to old and disabled adults, care homes. So what they're saying with this, it may create less persons coming into the system to also help in this adult care homes and the community. But Cyprian, isn't what they're saying as well? We're trying to cut down companies paying cheap labor.
Yeah, I was going to get onto that.
Please go for that. Yeah.
This morning I saw an article, and what they were saying is that companies now need to spend and invest in, number one, raising the pay threshold for staff, for British workers or the workers that they take on board, and also invest in training to upskill them. The conversation I was having a bit earlier, I don't think, this is my view, and in the construction industry, this is what I see that goes on. I can't speak for that industry, I can only speak for the industry that I work in. Yeah. So there has always been shortage of skilled workers in industry, like trade skill. And so we have a big influx of say, of Europeans coming in. Now, just let's use a figure. We're just going to use a figure out here, yeah? So we'll say we need we are short skilled by a total of 150 skilled workers. This is trade workers across the board. Yeah. Fitters, painters, decorators, tilers, dry liners, plasterers, etc., plumbers, electricians, etc., right?
Yes.
And so we get that 150 to come in and they fill that gap. What we have happening is not that is not that English people, I don't think, is that they don't want to do certain job. What I find, they don't want to work, right? They don't want to work for a certain amount of pay. So say you have that 150 shortage of labor in the industry, right? And it's filled by the Europeans. You get another 150 that come over and start to look for job. Now they say, where man say, okay, I work for £210 for the day. You have a European who come and say, I work for 160 for you for the day. I work for 140 for you for the day. So you get, that's what's happening. I don't think this talk when people used to say, they come in and they take our jobs. No, I think it lies with the people within the companies that are responsible for procuring and taking on different subcontractors or what have you, because they go for the cheapest.
Yes.
So you find out that you have a family of English people, or English families, family, 2 kids, 3 kids, and his wife, and he has a mortgage to pay or rent to pay, and he has his bills. He's not going to go out there and work for something that, what's the sense? You want to say, what's the sense of work? When I work, I'm either in deficit or I'm just working just to pay the bills. And that's it. It's just that the companies out there are actually, what's been happening is that they go for the cheapest laborer. It's happened that Europeans will work for dirt cheap.
Well, stick a pin there. You're Christopher Jones said, he said, I think it's a good idea to make the cuts. Too many businesses depend on cheap labor. Tesco, Lidl, and lots of these places used to have loads of jobs advertised. Lots of jobs advertised. Now you have to sit an aptitude test to stack shelves in these shops. Western Europeans will be affected, SYLBOURNE, not Jamaican. That's a point where we talk about there, because I've been hearing lots of people saying, oh, this is affecting the Jamaican or the Caribbean community. But Christopher Jones's point of Eastern Europeans will be affected, not Jamaican, not Caribbean. That's what we have established, yeah?
Yeah, we Jamaicans won't be affected in any shape or form, because as I said, all of this that they are bringing in now, right? All of this that they are bringing in now, they are just we have to follow this guideline. If I want my brother to come up here tomorrow to work, he has to have a degree, or he has to have certain he has to have certain requirements,
or ties and all those sort of things,
to have a job. So no, it's nothing I see that will change for Jamaicans.
Well, David Burton actually says here now, and this is the point about the minimum wage. Companies are not paying cheap labor. And I think we need to distinguish something what David says. Let's say companies. Companies are not paying cheap labor. Minimum wage is set by the government. There are market forces in place. Support for industry, small business would have to be helped by government to supply this cost difference. Cyprian, there's a point about the cheap labor. And in the construction bit, are these guys regulated by minimum wage?
They are. But just because the government has set a cheap labor, set the minimum wage, that doesn't mean, right, that labors aren't cheap. Because at the end of the day, when you look in most industries, look around, most industries, like the construction industry, you have the minimum wage, but they don't pay minimum wage. They pay over the minimum. Companies tend to pay over minimum wage. So just because the company has set the government have set and said this is a minimum wage, that doesn't mean, right, that the labor is still not cheap. You understand? That doesn't mean that labor is still, that doesn't mean it's not cheap.
And that brings us to the point where they say construction's concern over work shortages. That is one of the areas. Construction relies on foreign migrants for 10% of its workforce. You're in the construction sector, 8% from the EU and 2% from the rest of the world. Reliance on foreign-born workers is much higher in the southeast of England. Major infrastructure projects, including HS2, which they are embarking on. Where will they find those workers from? Will they find them from the UK? Will they find them from persons who are underground? Maybe there's a need now to talk about having an amnesty. What do you think about it, guys?
Well, before you say amnesty, I keep hearing this. Where will we find the workers? Where will we find the workers?
Yeah.
Okay? When you look on the data, go to the job center, you Acts, Freedom of Information Act, the amount of people, young men certain age, from there to that, who are not working, do they have disabilities? What I'm trying to get here,
Yes.
before we start saying, where the workers will come from, there, I feel, and from my research, there are enough workers in the UK to fill a massive gap at the short, we call it, we call it, the gap in the market.
The gap in the market,
yes. Of workers. Now, the thing is, this is for another story for a different day, but it's you have to look at other reasons why people don't work. You understand? Number one, we're talking about the cheap labor, and this is why in one of the articles I read today, they're saying that they need to up. As I said, just because the government sets a minimum wage, that doesn't mean, right, that if you get 50p, 60p, £2.50 over the minimum wage, that does not mean that it is still not low. You have to look on, especially London. The cost of living in that area, right, is your pay. Are you able to live in that area when you work without needing to be depending on the government? This is why the government is saying, look, you need to invest in your staff. You need, number one, the first you need to do is raise your pay threshold.
Yes.
That's what the government, because the government has set a minimum wage. The fact that the government has said it, here we have set this minimum wage, but you still need, what you're paying is just not enough. You need to raise that threshold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And also,
so
go on. Sorry, you're saying.
So I think there is enough people, there is enough bodies, there is enough. We have enough to fill a good percentage, probably not all, but a good percentage of the where we shall fall short in most industries or sectors within the UK. What needs to happen is that the companies need to now look and remunerate people. Cost of living is going up. You can't have to pay what you can't pay what you've been paying 10 years ago today.
Yes.
You understand? There's inflation. So you have to take that into account when you take it on people.
Well, Cherry Johnson actually saying, yes, this gentleman provides very rounded perspective. Invest in upskilling professionals, and that is what you said. The government need to do that. I believe someone else said that, and NVQ to fill places and gaps. So what we're actually saying now, what the government may be driving at, is what Boris Johnson has been saying: unleashing the potential of the UK, unleashing the potential of people who are on dole, people who are actually saying the foreigners are taking their jobs. Well, they're going to say, well, the jobs are here, right? This is it. This is the jobs are here. Taking care of your families, taking care of your elderly, right? Working in the NHS to the point whereby it seems to me like what the government is seeking to do is making the UK a lean, mean, vibrant workforce and very competitive UK in light of the fact that we are going alone away from the EU. Does that round it up in a way? What do you think? Sherry, what do you think? Guys, what do you think? Cyprian, what do you think? David, what do you think?
I think that's what the government is trying to do. What needs to happen at some point, possibly, what needs to happen is that the government, they need to rethink and come with something to forward, either raise the minimum wage threshold, or they have to do something to force these companies to remunerate the staff with the current market, with the current inflated market. If that's not done, then we're just going to be back at square one. What do? Nobody's doing the jobs. Nobody wants to do the jobs, because if I go out and work, I'm going to be worse off, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, where people are crying now with this new you call it universal tax rate thing that's coming in,
Yes.
and most of these people are working class people that are crying.
Yeah.
You know, it's not enough. You have we are working. We decided to come to get help, and this whole new system has now taken back X amount of money from our pockets.
Yes.
every year, and it's affecting us.
Yes.
So what needs to happen as the government goes do what they're doing. They now need to regulate this whole. They need to look into the payment. They need to look into salaries. They need to look into companies pay salary. They probably might need now to raise that threshold, even though that they are coming in with all of this. They need to now raise the threshold. They have set a threshold on this side. We now need to just make sure we are saying this. We now need to put things in place to make sure that we can fill these gaps.
Yeah, and of course, it is not just in that area as well. They're talking about in the health sector. Health sector that talks about the NHS need a smooth supply of foreign workers. Now, it's interesting they say a smooth supply of foreign workers. That is on the premise that the UK do not have these persons. There's no upskill for these persons. Upskill for the UK to deliver. Foreign nationals making up 13% of the workforce in the NHS. There are a number of jobs on the shortage occupation list, they say, including nursing, which will make it easier to attain the 70 qualifying points. Pay attached to such jobs. 1 in 10 doctors coming from the EU. But that won't really affect doctors because they will satisfy that criteria as well, that points criteria, because 25,000 is the threshold, isn't it? So that won't be a problem for doctors. They say the risk is less there. Lower paid staff such as healthcare assistants and porters could be affected enough. But what they're saying is that the UK need to deliver. The UK need to have persons in place that can deliver. Exhaust the UK workforce. Is that what the government is saying? Exhaust the UK workforce. And by exhausting it, then you actually... You see, I believe as well that, and you said it earlier, Cyprian, Australia, Canada, what Canada is saying? Go back to Canada. 300,000?
Well, at the moment, the last time I read it was about, I think it was just this week. I don't know which email I read it. But Australia, and they're always looking for people. There are times when they just put out, we are looking for students. So they open up, they change the threshold, they're looking for university students. We are opening up the ports now, and we want university students to come and live in there. Different parts in Canada where they will say, okay, we are, at the moment, I saw something like we are under skilled by 300,000 staff in different industries.
Yes.
I didn't get fully into the industry, but I know one of the industries is in the hospitals. I know one of them is in the construction. Obviously, you have different type of professions in the construction. Most times, they have a shortage by engineers, structural civil engineers, and so electrical, mechanical engineers. So the thing is, that's an example.
Well, Sherry, yes.
And what they do, they actually lower the thresholds or the standard to get into that they would normally use in order to get a visa, to get a working visa to come and migrate, or if you want to you call it immigrate, migrate to the country.
Yes.
Well, migrate. Yeah.
Well, Sherry has picked up that point there, and I'm going to go to David as well. NHS need to invest in homegrown talent, make wages more attractive. The use of foreign nationals is exploiting talent, as they know that those who come in from abroad will accept particular wages compared to homegrown talent. So it's an upskilling of the homegrown talent, and I believe that's going to be one of the driving force. David Burton has said that the average wage is 16,000 for carers, way below the threshold. What the government is actually saying, upskill the UK workforce. and as a result of that, so it seems to me, and I don't know what people think, that the government is driving to ensure that the potential of the UK workforce is upskilled and able to deliver on the unemployment areas, the gaps within the market, right? And it is not just only this points based thing. It is not just only Cyprian and ladies and gentlemen, just to people. It talks about student visa routes will also be points based and be open to the EU citizens, ensuring talent from around the globe has access to the UK's world class university. Those wishing to study in the UK will need to demonstrate that they have an offer. Well, that's what I had before when I came. Approved educational institution, and that they can support themselves financially, and that they speak English. Now, one of the things is that everybody needs to speak English coming into the UK to do skill work, right? David Burton, doctors, is that the case? Doctors, do they come into the country? Do they have to know English? Um, I was communicating with someone the other day on Facebook. Said they watched the show. I didn't know what they were talking about. They're from Spain, or Cuba or so, and they're speaking in Spanish. Didn't know what they were saying, and I just went onto my computer, Cyprian, and find this app, and just was communicating with them by just putting the translator. Is a whole bit about English. Is English a requirement? Is English necessary? Do you have to be a fully compliant English speaker? What do we say? What do you say, Cyprian? What do you say,
Well,
David? Yeah.
well, that's what the requirement. They say you have to speak English.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have different levels. And once when you fill out the form or what have you, they did say that the people with the highest marks will come through.
Yes.
So, for example, let's say university. Yeah, there's an intake so many students a year in university. If you have, I want to use a figure. Just say you need 15 people. Yeah. To come in, and you have 30 people applying, and one of the requirements is supposed to be English. You don't speak English. You're not from an English speaking country. Well, the fact is that the first thing, do you speak English? No. Well, you're going to drop to the bottom of the pile. So the thing is, there are criterias, and if you don't make the criteria, you just won't, Personally, no, my view on it, I think if you're coming here to work, if you're coming here to study, you need to be able to speak English. Come on, you come in to study an English degree, you need English. You come into work in an hospital, you're dealing with seriously sick people, you need English. In my industry, right, one thing is, if we have people on site who don't speak English at all, but when you have the subcontractors that come in, they can't speak English, they have to have a translator. So there's always a translator on site so you can communicate. But when you're in university, it's not like on a job. When you're a site manager, a construction manager, a project manager, it's a different kettle of fish. You're an engineer, it's a different kettle of fish. You have to speak English because you are now managing both English and foreign workers. So you need to be able to speak English. And I don't think if you can't speak English, I don't think you should be able to come to our country to work and do certain things. Saying that, before you go on, I know that there are non-speaking foreign students that come here just to learn to speak English.
Yes.
So there are English schools here that takes them in colleges and what have you. They might come for, like, some of them come for is a transfer program, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 8. You understand? Up to 2 years to study English, and when they finish their English, I know someone personally from Italy who did that. She was living in Cambridge, came here just to come to a language school, and as soon as she completed it, after about 8 months, she moved on to university.
Okay, Matty Newman, someone on YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also on YouTube. You can go to SYLBOURNE TV, YouTube. I live in Spain. 95% of the English who live in Spain for more than 20 years, they can't speak English. you know? But then, are the English who are in Spain, are they, retiring, holidays?
Are they expats,
Are they
or are they
expats?
looking for jobs,
Yeah.
or are they studying? That's the question to ask.
Yes.
That's the question. So 96. So how many of that 96 are expats? That's number one. How many of those 90? The other percent are like workers come there to work. And is it required? So these are the type of questions that ones need to ask. You understand? These are the type of questions that one should ask.
Yes.
You know, if I'm going to Spain to work as a construction manager, I'm a chartered construction manager.
Yes.
If I go there to run a site where I'm going to have I will be managing a lot of Spanish-speaking people. The criteria is that on that application, because I've actually applied for these jobs, a criteria, you have to speak Spanish.
Yes, yes.
You have to speak Spanish. When I'm looking for a job in the UAE, the Emirates, United Emirates, Arab Emirates, in a lot of the job specification, do you speak
English compliant?
Is it Arabic or but I have to speak the language. A lot of them want you to speak, it's a criteria, part of the job criteria.
Okay.
So
all right. So therefore what we're saying and what we're looking at, and as Sherry actually said, the English do not like to adjust. And also a new campaign to attract homegrown talent is needed, also needed to really investment in these funds to attract individuals. So it seems to me, and I believe this is good, I believe any nation is good. If you want to really build, you've got to, as someone say, build and develop yard, build and develop home. But I need to just go back to this one point, yeah? Is December the 31st is the last. The 1st of January kicks in 2021. The Prime Minister is trying to level up. There's a gap there. The immigration, okay? This whole thing regarding amnesty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just throwing this one out. Is it the right time now? Is it a right time now to deliver in this particular area, to bring people up to a level whereby they regularize themselves and also bring them in from the cold? Even though some will not want to be bringing from the cold, because with the biometric and all those sort of things, they'll be exposed if they're doing wrong things. But is it the right time now for people to be bringing from the cold? And that would somewhat maybe even reduce the gap. Final word, Cyprian. What do you say about that?
not
Windrush, sorry.
This is that time now to say, let's do an amnesty, because you're coming with all of this. And sorry, back here. So let's
turn down your background thing or something like that. Yeah.
So okay, so after the 31st, you have actually delivered. You have delivered on what the people are asking for from day one. Who want control for borders, who want control for immigration. You have there are a lot of undocumented people in this country from all walks of life. I personally feel that it's time now, with all that's going on, to get things, to get your home in order, get this country in order. I think it's time that these undocumented residents, I call them residents, are aliens. It's time to do an amnesty to get them documented. Then you would, then and only then you'll be able to fully control your borders. No what's your immigration intake and what you can afford to intake per year, and what have you. I personally think, yeah, and I've been thinking about it for some time now, years now, as a matter of fact, that they should do a immigration amnesty for undocumented people. The problem that we have is that, there's a lot of probably, without any doubt, there's a lot of people out there who have done crime in the past, and some of them are serious crime, and their fingerprints are DNA maybe or maybe not on police system records and what have you, and should they come in, depending on the time, a lot of these people will be fearing as well, because they'll not trust the government, especially with what's been going on since with 2018, what went on before last week Tuesday, with the plane going off to Jamaica. People will mistrust the government. So, it goes, it's a scale. It's an unbalanced scale. And, the government just have to come in with something where they can promise, assure people, look, we're doing an amnesty, whatever. We want to document you. We're giving you a chance. We're giving you a point to such and such. Get yourself documented.
Okay. Well, Cyprian, listen, I want to thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, Cyprian Pitkin is in the construction industry, giving his perspective, as this is an area which is being passionate about over the years. I just want to give a perspective. Cyprian, any last word on that bit there?
I think that's it. Thanks for having me on tonight. It's really really one of those topics that's really interesting to discuss, and I think at this moment all parties from all walks should be getting involved and talking about this, because it affects us all.
Yes.
At the end of the day, yeah. Right. Thanks for having me on, Super.
Okay, peace out, Cyprian. Thank you. And Cherry Johnson, I sent you a message. That is if you want to call in for a brief minute or so on via WhatsApp there. Cherry Johnson said, I believe we have foreign talent here who would really benefit from an amnesty. They are the hard workers we see in our local chicken shops, sweet shops. Let's show them as a country we appreciate them, and we now would like to offer them documents so they can continue to contribute like others. I believe it's an opportune time, and I believe it is something to be championing the cause for this. I believe with the whole leveling up, let's just really level up properly and encourage the Prime Minister. I believe, as a person who voted Brexit, I believe that, there is great opportunity out there. Trust me, I believe that. And, I'm behind and I support the Prime Minister with the initiative. I think we only need to just make it fair, just to make sure that the UK do not suffer at the same time. And I believe that over the years, as someone said, Nick Ferrer was saying, if this was around when his parents came, he would not be here, because the threshold is a bit high now with the old point-based system. But then someone was reminded by saying, hang on a second, well, things have changed, and circumstances like this doesn't exist anymore. So, ladies and gentlemen, the topic today, as you can see, another topic is regarding the recent point-based immigration system, which the Prime Minister, under Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, has announced, which will kick into play on the January 1st, 2021. New points-based immigration system will open up the UK to the brightest and the best from around the world. Brightest and the best. So wherever you're from, you're the brightest and the best. Okay? Question sometimes you ask, what determines the brightest and the best? Is it those who get an offer for 25,000? What about those girls who get an offer for 16,000? Will British people, will they do some of the millennial work? Will they do that? And that's the thing. Cherry Johnson, good evening. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Are you wrapping up?
No, I'm. Well, you're going to wrap up. You keep talking. Will is
okay,
he?
Am I live already?
Yeah, you're live. Is it?
Okay. Hi, good night, everybody. So I didn't really catch the main discussion from when we started, but I was picking up from the gentleman who
Yeah.
had
Can
a
you
minute ago.
can you lift your voice a bit? Let me see.
Did you say could I lower it?
No,
Or
no, lift.
higher it?
No. Amplify your voice. A bit louder. Yes.
Okay, so I was saying I wasn't able to catch the discussion from the beginning.
Yes.
However, I was listening in to the gentleman that you had on.
Yes.
And I think he really hammered in and tied up the discussion really well.
Yes.
Because he hit a good key points. I think for me, I just wanted to kind of echo on the importance of investing in home talent.
Yes.
And, as particular us as Jamaicans, we always talk about investing in your yard before you, or, dance at yard before you dance abroad, right?
Yes.
To take it the same terminology, we're going to talk about investing in your yard before you go abroad.
Yes.
And I just feel like the UK does not invest in young people. They do not give enough incentives. A lot of the incentives that were there to help me to propel in the social care sector have been removed.
Yes.
And this is where you see that young people don't find this field attractive anymore because there's no incentives. Loads of people would love to get involved in the healthcare sector when I speak to young people.
Yes.
However, the incentive is not there. What you find is the UK are very good at, I don't want to use the word manipulation, but I'm going to use it for now, of attracting foreign talent.
Yes.
Because the schemes that they attract them on here, the wages, the cost of living, because of their wages and the fact that they can't get social housing, etc., forces them to live a particular way. However, because they're from a country where opportunity is almost non-existent, they see this as something very attractive.
Yes.
So they will come here and see that the opportunity, but those who are here will start to weigh up the pros and cons and realize that it's actually not attractive.
Yes.
And sometimes you're wrong. In saying that, I want to say that to say this. As somebody who started an NVQ, so obtaining my 4 degrees and where I am now, I left school with no GCSEs. However, what enabled me to propel was my NVQ, okay? And an NVQ allows you to work in the workplace, demonstrate your skill set whilst doing education as well. I had to allow my nose to run before I could really sacrifice because the wages on an NVQ was very low. However, I did know that it would give me access to a better long-term career and better pay scale.
Yes.
So sometimes it's about, I don't want to just blame the British government in not investing. It's also about the mindset of the people. Okay? Speaking as someone whose mom was not born in this country, I believe I spot an opportunity particularly different to those who have got generational, families and lines that have been born here for years.
Yes.
So it's a combination of two. Do you understand? It's getting people's mindset right. It's starting to motivate people. We tried that by implementing universal credit.
Yes.
Paying people monthly in line with when you would get your wages. However, by doing that, we still haven't made a scheme where we get these people into work. The
Yes.
job centre is not working with smaller successful businesses run by successful entrepreneurs who can provide job opportunities. They're just still working with the traditional big companies.
Yes.
And even then the opportunities are not consistent. So there's so much work.